Hello everyone, today I'm going to be finally reviewing the Newisland 4x4. I know this review is kind of overdue, but it's finally here. Sorry about that, guys. So, looking around the cube, we've got pretty standard shades. I had no problem with contrast whatsoever while I was playing with this cube, so you can see for yourself pretty good shades. Let's go on to turning. Turning is very fast, I will say, even verging on uncontrollable. I didn't bother putting any lube in it myself. The stock lube was plenty fast enough, so I would take this into consideration definitely if you're considering buying this cube, because it is definitely very fast compared to recent 4x4s that I have had in the past. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at corner cutting. It's nothing special, just pretty average. So around 1 QB, outer layer to outer layer. Inner layer to inner layer is about 3/4 of a QB. Now here I'm running out of travel on my springs, so you know, as always, corner cutting will vary a little bit with your tensions. And then we'll do reverse corner cutting here. Alright, so here's that right there was an example of the catching that I run into on this cube. Primarily it's going to be outer layer to outer layer, and the mechanism will get misaligned, so that in normal practice you could cut something like this, but it gets misaligned. So like you see how I can just do that, and that centerpiece gets a little bit skewed and it will catch. So that is one of the catching issues I've had with this cube. I think it's the only one I've had, but nonetheless it is still there. So, but other than that, you can get a tiny bit, so maybe like 1/4 or 1/3 of a QB on the outer layers, and on the inner layers you can actually get a little bit more, so about 1/2 a QB. And we have just ejected one of the center caps, which I have not had any problems with. I did have some problems with that on the Moyu 5x5. So corner cutting, nothing special about it, and there is that little catching issue. Now, going off of that catching issue, I think that these springs are too loose for this cube. There's not enough force required to extend them, because if I compare this to just this old Moyu 4x4 I have lying around, which I like the feel of, it takes more force for me to pull, just do that, than on here. Like, this is way easier. So when I was fooling around with the tensions on this, I couldn't really find a tension I liked, because I wanted it to feel stiffer so I could get more tactile feedback to see kind of where I was at with the corner cutting. But when I tightened it down too far, I just ran out of travel instead of getting more feedback. So I kind of think that Newisland made a bad choice with the springs in this cube, or at least for my preferences. So someone I could see who would like the way this feels is someone who's super accurate and has a really light touch. So someone just with a lot of control, or just someone who has really sensitive feel. But that's just not what I'm used to, and it's just something I don't like. And I kind of feel like the catching issue I was just talking about stems from the fact that these springs are kind of loose, and that may allow, you know, when you're flexing the cube all around like this, might allow some of the mechanism to misalign and then catch on other pieces. So just something to think of, so because these springs are noticeably softer than other 4x4s. So speaking of all the internal mechanisms and springs and whatever, let's go ahead and tear this thing apart. Alright, so this mechanism is actually pretty simple compared to a lot of mechanisms I've seen. So just looking at the corner piece here, you can see that it's just pretty basic. We got the stock is there's no weird curvy things on it. The corner piece is just a rounded off cube, and then the base of it is just, you know, a rounded part of a sphere, which is what the mechanism is based off of, is a sphere. That's what all modern speedcube mechanisms are based off of. Once again, this edge piece here, very basic. So I guess Newisland is taking a kind of simplistic approach with this cube, which I think that's a good move, honestly, because there's less things to catch on, and I didn't have any popping issues, so whatever they're doing seems to work. But here's our inner center piece, center edge piece. Once again, very basic. Our center piece, not much to see. Typical, you know, hook thing that goes underneath the center that the screw goes into. And then we also have the little cutout for the alignment mechanism, which is standard these days. So that's pretty much it for the mechanism. Super basic. We have the fixed inner ring with the tab on there that keeps the internal 5x5 basically in line with the outer 4x4. And then we have a movable square piece here that rotates around this circular piece. So it's plastic on plastic there rotating around. Nothing actually rotates directly around the screw. And lastly, I forgot about this little one, also part of the internal 5x5 mechanism. So, yep, not many curves or crazy squiggles to see here. Just very basic, but I do like that idea of keeping it as simple as possible. And like I said, I have not had any popping issues with this cube, so I can't really complain about the mechanism. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and scramble this up and give it a quick sample solve. So, like I was saying earlier, the kind of person I would probably recommend this to, in its out-of-the-box form, is someone who likes a cube that turns really fast with super low resistance, and who can either control the cube really well, or just can has a really sensitive feel when it comes to, you know, how far you're cutting a corner or something, just because of those really loose tensions. So I personally, I'm not a big fan of the springs they're using in here, but I do like the rest of the cube. The mechanism feels pretty smooth. Like I said, it is a pretty simple mechanism, so that's probably why it feels so nice. So the mechanism itself feels nice. I just really don't like the way the springs feel. So let me know in the comments if you guys want to see me swap these springs out and, you know, experiment maybe with some different springs, and then give a separate verdict on that. Because these days I don't really see a lot of people, you know, doing modifications like that to their cubes. It's kind of just, you know, what's the experience out of the box. And I like to go further than that and kind of see, you know, changing just a little thing like springs, how will that change the feel of a cube? Alright, so there's a little quick sample solve so you guys can see how this thing turns, and thanks for watching.